humbling experience to leave your home and come around and look at all those pretty smiling faces. Those hungry people just dying to know what's going on. And many people don't want to know because they just want to die without knowing. Or not knowing will surely get you killed. You know, had a lot of fun today. I felt it was most appropriate to have had the opportunity to have been here at the time when the people were standing up to fight against the military. I don't call them police, I call them military. Because military is just what they are. I was at the University of Morris last week, University of Minnesota in Morris, and I saw the front page of the paper and I watched the news as the people converged on the mayor, demanding to have some things done where in some places these things have already been resolved. Sometimes they haven't been quite resolved, but they got different faces doing it, and sometimes we find that easier to take. See, in Chicago, we already have a black mayor and a black police chief. And they're there as a result of years of struggling against the same type of thing you're struggling against right here in Minnesota. And the result will be that you will get your mayor and your police chief. Because the way they keep losing these positions is that they lose their inherent moral right to lead by immoral behavior. And when they do, and you draw out of them what is their motivations and where they're headed, then you will be given the opportunity to do what they did. That does not necessarily mean that we will not do what they did, but at least we have the opportunity. What we're going to talk about today is the opportunity, developing liberation consciousness to the 21st century by any means necessary. That's the topic of today's program. And seeing y'all that I'm kind of like the outlaw thinker, you know, I feel a little bit like Zorro, Robin Hood, or Batman. I got to swing into town and cause a stir to share with our people the truth. Nobody ever accused me of lying. They just said they didn't want to hear it. And I can truly say that I feel blessed. You know, I thought of a little metaphysical passage. You all ever see this book around? It's called Light on the Path. It's a little consciousness book, you know. One day, I was at a moment in my life when I had to make a major decision. I was working in the Justice Department. And when I was working in the Justice Department, I worked in a prison. And when I worked in the prison, I was around some very important people who at that time just happened to be in the jail. And they saw me work around the jail enforcing principles that were really far beyond the mere rules that they were playing in the jail. See, in the jail, they didn't give up the thing about rehabilitation. They just in there for control and getting the money. So I'm in there really trying to light up the place. You see, a very wise man told me, said, Steve, said it appears as if you become the benefactor of a gift or two, and you've got to learn how to perfect that gift. So first you must go and work where light does not shine at all. Well, scratching my head, where could that be? Is it closet? You know, is it at night shift? So then it dawned on me. I told him, I said, man, you know, I want to go work in this jail over here. He said, that is a place where light does not shine at all. So I went there and I stayed there for 4 years. But during the time I was there, a lot of people got to see the type of guy I was. And there were some very powerful mafia people there who were in there for not testifying to the grand jury. They weren't convicted of anything. And they looked at me and they said, this guy got balls. He got character. This ain't to play myself up. He said, hey, we'd like this guy in our organization. We'd like you to be with us. This is just the type of guy we need for the underworld. So they had me go to a restaurant. Said, you go to a restaurant, somebody's going to be there to meet you. I went in a restaurant in Chicago. It's called Gene and Georgetti's. It's all of the heavyweight, organized crime, mafia, whatever they want to call it. It's amazing how they all know who they are, but they're all in the street with the rest of us. But everybody know which one run what territory, right? But they don't, in Chicago, every time there's a mafia hit, that means the police ain't supposed to touch it. They got about 1,000 and something of them things. They're just things you never solve because people are transacting business. And it's all right to transact business in America if you're on the right team. So these guys wanted to recruit me. A man sat down at a table and he said, Steve, we'd like to have you in the organization. We think that we can pay you about $50,000 a year. So it was in 1978 or 9, and I was making about $15,000. And when I left that meeting, I ran into a friend of mine I used to go to school with, a very conscious brother, and I said, man, this is really something. I felt like I was at the threshold of either something big or I was going to keep on my mission of going where light does not shine at all to perfect my techniques about helping another person. You see, you just can't help another person because you want to. You have to be given the power to help another person. Two people walking down the street, both of them want to help. Something happens on one's journey, nothing happens on the other. What's the difference? Somebody gave the other person the right to have something happen on their path so that they could actually help. You know, you feel better when you help another person. Oh, listen. So anyway, the brother said, well, let me share this book with you. He shared the book with me, and I'm reading the book, and ain't nothing too much in it. I'm reading it, then I started to find some things about a process about what makes a person whole. A process by where, y'all know, y'all have them fraternities and sororities, and you be a neophyte, you be on the line, and you do what everybody tell you to do, and then there's a moment when you go over. Well, that little process is really a process about life. It's an intangible, undefinable process which every single one of us operate under, whether you know the law or not. Now, I told people earlier, I serve the one who made that law. That's the law of gravity. No man can say he ever had anything to do with the building of that law. And if that law affects all men equally, then why aren't we with those people rather than these men who keep coming up with these imperfect things because that's their nature? So the guy said, you know, you ought to read this. And in it I read the process by where a neophyte got the right to sit where the masters sit. The masters really go unrecognized to the majority of the people because if you're not really into the greater picture, these people can walk amongst your midst and you will know them not. Only those people of like nature and like character know who the masters are. And I ain't talking about no plantation thing. I'm talking about very wise people who sit in different places around this world to service the people who are going through the process of being made whole. See, I ask people, I ask y'all, I'm going to open this up and ask you, why are you here? What are you here for? I don't mean on earth, that's one part. Why are you at University of Minnesota? Somebody tell me why they're here. Somebody tell me, just out loud, quick. To do what? Okay, somebody else. Why are you here? Come on now, y'all have been here, why are you here? Education, go to school. To continue to struggle. Who else? Why are you here? To make money. Brother? Find some pretty girls, make love. Okay? Who else? Who else? Now be serious a minute. To get out of work. Okay? Well, I will doubt to say, some people probably didn't want to say, a lot of people here to get a degree because they told you if you got one, you get a job, and if you got a job, you get a better job if you had some paper behind it. And that you were here to get trained. But this training ain't got nothing to do with the real training. Now, you're probably here because you don't know any better. Boy, you can't tell me you're here to get educated because when you leave here, you're going to be foolish because you're not going to know really what's going on in the world. So it ain't here, and you're paying for this too. I mean, this ain't no free excursion into knowing nothing. But I say that into why are you here? Because if it's here to learn something, you spend 120 days with me and I'll teach you more than they'll teach you in 5 years. So you're not here to learn from them because they spending a lot of your money and you aren't really learning anything. And I hope you're not here to get a job. Job, you know, that's that new word for plantation. That's where you go that you ain't got nothing to do with controlling. And you use yourselves to make some money, to help someone else's purpose. Now, here to get did nobody holler out, I'm here to get my own business? Did nobody holler that out? And y'all, a lot of collective knowledge in here, but didn't nobody holler that out? Now maybe everybody, you know, ain't no big thing. Maybe it ain't. But we're trying to do this together, so we see if we can pull on this together. Well, all I'm trying to say is that there's a process of teaching and learning that goes beyond this thing here. When I talked earlier to the high school students, as long as they teach in Columbus discovered America, you know education ain't about truth. It's about control. You are here because you're under total control. And I'm going to teach you how to get out. Don't think you don't need to get out, because if you don't think so, then what is your fate? Same fate for you as the fate they try to get a Native American. It was good to be at the march today and to see the Native Americans, they're fighting it out. The ones that are left. Because something happened to them, and it could happen to you. And University of Minnesota ain't on your side. So if you're here to rape the University of Minnesota. Rape it dry. Take every piece of knowledge. I heard today about a class on Western African history where the teacher was white and she was saying things that were wrong. Why is she teaching it? You should be here to get her name and to pass it out to the people that know West African history so we can come and correct that person and tell them they got only so long to keep doing it or we will punish them for doing it. You should be doing them like they do you. They watch you and find who is the most conscious of you and they go and tell somebody else. Because that somebody else is out looking at you, and when you light up, somebody got to turn your name in. And they're in the class checking you out, telling you sometimes things that aren't true to push you around and see what you do about it. And they say, boss, I told them all the lie, and didn't one of them say nothing. Said, well, just like Pavlov's dog, looked like the conditioning is working. So if you're here to find out everything they're saying and report back to your own people, whoever they may be. Because I bet you, for example, those people of the Jewish religion report back to other Jews of the Jewish religion about you. So, as a policy, you should have the same policy.